Hello there, welcome to the Ramble review, and today we're looking at Halloween Forever. This game, the story is pretty straightforward. Some sorcerer guy does some spell for Halloween Forever. It wakes up this pumpkin. This pumpkin is you, and now you're out to get the sorcerer, and that's really it. There's not much else to talk about. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. It's a platformer slash shooter, so you'll be jumping on platforms, climbing stuff, so on and so forth. And you won't be jumping on your enemies to kill them. Instead, you'll be shooting at them. But in this case, you're shooting from the mouth, and where your ammo is candy corn because Halloween. The controls themselves are nice and tight. I never felt really cheated or anything like that. I did get frustrated a little bit because this game has instant death spikes. Luckily, they're only in specific areas, and maybe they go a little harder during the final level. And speaking of level, you have 5 of them to go through. Throughout these levels, you'll be facing, spooky creatures. You got a Jason with a chainsaw, bats, other wizards, floating heads, so on and so forth, like spooky stuff. Things like that. So those are like the enemies we're going through, and they do add as you go along to each level. So at least you'll be seeing something new each time you go to a new level. And in each of these levels, you also face a boss. Well, 2 bosses in each and every level, and they also are really different from one another as well. It's not some laziness that you'll see the same boss repeating over and over again. You got this dragon thing with 2 heads, and you could chop one off and it'll start going faster. A giant skeleton head, and the only one I could think of as being lazy is the giant version of those Jason chainsaw characters. Though I didn't look at it as lazy, I just thought of it as that's like the king of them, stuff like that. So it wasn't lazy to me. And the boss fights are pretty fun, of course. Like these type of games, they have their patterns. You just gotta get around them and so on and so forth. And if you do die against them, luckily the game will just start you over or something like that, unless you use all your continues. You just start right in front of the door before the boss fight and just give it another go. Speaking of those continues, the game gives you, I think, 3 or 4 to start with. You can collect more as you go through the levels. And in these levels, there are secret areas. Some are kind of obvious, like that'd be a cracked floor or something. You break that, you'll go and you'll find like another spot. And these secret areas, besides another continue, you could also find a brand new character. In this game, there are a few characters you can unlock that not only look different, but they also play different. Well, some of them do. Like you'll have one of them that is it's called the protagonist, and this guy has a freaking gun, and you can just blast enemy ways. And the way the protagonist projectile is different from the pumpkin, because the pumpkin is kind of like an arc, and the protagonist shoots straight forward like in a cluster. So it feels different. I think the protagonist feels way easier. But you only can unlock 1 character each playthrough. So when you do unlock at least 1 character, if you go to these secret areas, the coffins that have these icons will be replaced with a pumpkin pail, which will give you a continue. So you get continues that way as well. Another thing you can find while playing through these levels is ruins, and these ruins unlock like a special load ending for whatever character you're using. It's all different for every character, I believe. Maybe they were peaked because one of the endings, because there's the pumpkin, the default pumpkin, and there's also a Santa pumpkin if you want to get even more festive with the Halloween Christmas combo. And their endings are pretty similar, but they do add a little funny extra text that I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of worth it. That made me laugh a little. That's the only time this game shows a little bit, I guess, like in dialogue form, some little bit of personality. I enjoyed it though. As you can tell, this is a retro looking game. Looks fine to me. The levels themselves are kind of varied. Some are kind of like repetitive because one will be a castle but it's like greenish gray, the other be the final castle but it's red. But they do have some different interiors, so it helps it stand out a little bit. And so like you'll have like a picture here and there. One level is like outside in the woods, and it makes that level stand out even more in comparison to the other ones. So it's not a huge like wow. It's okay for what it is, and I never ran into any like technical problems while playing this. I'm playing this game on my PS5. No bugs, glitches, slow frame rate. Everything's just nice and smooth, fun time. I don't know if I mentioned this again because I'm rambling. The game is pretty short. Maybe your first playthrough, you'll die, which will get you frustrated and maybe think that fuck this game. But once you start getting the patterns down, like the levels and knowing the layouts and the bosses, it starts becoming easier and easier. My first playthrough probably took about like 40-50 minutes, and then like I did like 2 or 3 other playthroughs and it took me about 30 minutes. So this game is really quick, and you know your replay comes from, like I mentioned, like getting those characters and using them and getting their rune endings. And there's even option you could pick in the options menu to make the game harder if you want to die like in one hit. And if you just want to see the rune endings, I try to collect them and everything, and those ruins are in the same spot every time, so once you know what all 6 are, you're good from then on out. There's a 99 lives option, so you don't have to worry about, there's no way in hell you're going through 99 lives. You're going to beat the game. But if you're the person that's kind of like achievements or trophies and stuff like that, it locks you out of that. Thankfully, the game tells you like, hey, if you put this on, no trophies. I didn't put it on because I wanted the feeling of getting the trophies. So yeah, but yeah, you that's like your last resort. You don't have to do that. Once you get the game down, it's like I said, it's pretty easy. So yeah, I wholeheartedly recommend this game, if into platforming, into Halloween, or both. It doesn't embrace it as much like the Halloween stuff, like Savage Halloween. I believe that's the title of the gameplay last year. I think that one does it much better. But this one's still pretty okay, and I think it's worth your time. It's like a snack size treat. It won't fill you up, but hey, it's enjoyable. So hope you did my ramble, and for gamer's sake, keep gaming.